We now have an Iscf solo presentation, The Future of Shopping Centers in India. In order to be different, in fact delightfully different from online sites and other competitors, shopping centers need to ramp up their delivery, their customer experience, their use of technology, and of course they must be flexible in their approach right from design to delivery. To make this presentation, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Vishal Mirchandani, Chief Executive Officer, Retail and Commercial, Brigade Enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vishal Mirchandani.
Good afternoon, everybody. And this session, as you can see from the title, it's the future of shopping centers in India. Now, that's a discussion point, I think, for many of us here in the shopping. I think all of us here in the shopping center business, and many of us in the retail industry, and much so in the international retail fraternity as well. So, I mean, there have been a lot of presentations made, and I thought I will also put an attempt to bring many of the thoughts together, some that are being pursued in the international market and some which I find very relevant to our story here in India, because I think the consumer preferences are getting more and more similar as we cross the borders. Having said that, I think one must understand where this is coming from. I think everybody understands and realizes that it's the e-commerce threat that is driving us to ask these questions from ourselves. However, let us understand what the real e-commerce threat is all about, right? The e-commerce threat, let's look at the American market, the US market. It's the largest retail market in the world. Now in that market itself, e-commerce holds a share of about 7.8%, which is not very big, but it's the fastest growing channel for delivering retail business in the country. However, the rate of growth has been dropping. It was about 16% 4 or 5 years back, and it's dropped down to about 11%. And the noise that is being created for the e-commerce business is so high. But if you look at the size that it's operating or delivering to the market, it does not justify the noise that it is creating, but it's a threat that it is sort of creating for the businesses. That is something that people are getting up and having a look at. So the internet market or the e-commerce market in the US is about $200 billion, and the retail market in US is $4.5 trillion. It's about 30 times the size of the e-commerce market. So, like I said, the business hit right now is not that big, but the threat that is emerging seems to be bigger than what we are experiencing today. So, a lot of questions are being asked about how we are getting prepared to counter the threat that is looming large. Having said that, in India, we ourselves are experiencing a boom in, or you can say a strong growth in e-commerce business. But again, in India, the contribution of e-commerce business is much lower than the American market. It's about 2%, which is extremely low. So you can imagine what the room for growth for e-commerce business is in the country. But at the same time, because of the life cycle stage we are in, we are seeing a lot of failures. So we are, or sort of, you can say, slow down from the e-commerce companies because of some rationalization that is setting in. Now, all this put together brings us to realize that the customer is actually getting pulled. One hand is being pulled to the e-commerce side, the other hand is getting pulled to the traditional brick and mortar shopping center, etc. In order to actually counter this threat, I mean, this threat is a 7-8% threat, right? But it's still a threat. Yes, 7-8% could become 20%, could become 25%. So how are we going to grow our business if this business is also going to grow and grow faster than we are growing today? So let's look at, I've captured in my presentation three main facets that we could look at in developing our shopping center business, developing our retail within the shopping center business to be able to overcome this challenge and build, the shopping center business of the future. Now, nothing will start till we don't have the core in place. The core is basically what we talk about, the business of shopping centers. Now, that comes from what the consumer is today. The consumer today, what we classify is a millennial moving to a millennial. So we always target, we say that today, the baby boomers, etc., have moved on to being defined as millennials. But we must understand the millennial is becoming a millennial also. Now, how is that consumer becoming a millennial? These are the facets that the millennial consumer is actually looking for. Infrastructure is a very common thing. The kind of development that you're creating, the convenience that you offer, and what you consider as basically experience. When you talk about experience, we talk about many facets, but the core part of the process is basically looking at. So I was talking about the millennials going on to becoming millennials. Basically, what we are saying is that the millennial wants to experience. They're experience centric. They want to see it. They want to try it. They want to use technology to enhance the experience. They love immediacy and convenience. They want more to do with their shopping experience through the web room. They want to discover the product knowledge, availability, etc. through the internet and then go and shop at the shop. They're super informed. And then they are actually born in the digital age. So they are defined as digital natives and very comfortable with actually screening the digital space and finding out what is the best experience for them. And then, of course, when they move out of the digital space and go into a shopping center to shop, they are doing it they shop much more in the brick and mortar space than they shop on the digital platform, 2-3 times more. So before we before we say that what is the future of shopping centers different from how is different from today, we must examine what the core concepts are. The core concept of a shopping center will remain the same. We cannot compromise on our development process, our development and design. We cannot compromise on our infrastructure, our convenience. And these are the main facets of our shopping center experience to begin with. So if that is not adhered to or evolved or progressed, we are going to be behind the curve. So that is what actually is the differentiating factor between the shopping center and the non-shopping center business. And I'm going to share with you one small AV. And my presentation is actually interspersed with 3 AVs, which will give you an insight as to what others are doing and what are the concepts that are coming up. And this is one such AV. This is from Westfield Mall. And this explains to us what a development or a design process can actually do to enhance the business. So from that presentation, you can understand that's Westfield Phase 2, Westfield in Shepherd's Bush, London. It launched in 2008. That was Phase 1. And year 1, they did about £1.5 billion of business. They were able to do that by sucking out business from Oxford Street, by creating a differentiation for themselves in the market, creating a dominant shopping center in the urban, in an urban location in the heart of London, and actually creating a big barrier for e-commerce shoppers. And they are going one step forward. They're going one step forward, building Phase 2. What is Phase 2? Phase 2 is looking beyond the shopping center. Phase 2 is creating a much bigger destination. It's actually capitalizing on what they've created as the shopping destination and trying to expand that experience to the other facets of real estate, and also expanding the shopping center per se. And of course, that is going to become a much more dominating shopping center. So like you see, the four most important things you can see here is that you got to actually think beyond the shopping center. You got to design for the future. You got to collaborate. You saw there were 5 metro stations that were planned around the shopping center. You got to be able to create a flexible development plan, create a flexible operating plan for your shopping center. So, I mean, there can be many points that you can write, but I think most of those points will fall under these 4 main points. Now, I'm from the Brigade Group. We run a very successful mall called Orion Mall at Brigade Gateway. We are part of a mixed-use development. It's a 40-acre development, which has contributed immensely to creating a very strong shopping center destination. And we attract about 22 million customers every year, and we did about 950 crores of retail sales last year. And we're able to sustain that only because, not just because of the mall, its retail stores, but the infrastructure, the convenience, and the overall dominating presence that the entire development of Brigade Gateway has. When you move forward and say what is beyond experience of, beyond the collaboration and creating design and development facets, you look at experience, the mall shopping experience. You talk about retail shopping experience. So from moving from design, development, infrastructure, convenience, collaboration, etc., you move on to experience. And you see what people are doing today. You see what traditional stores are doing today, quasi-malls. And you understand that experience, as it stands over here, stands in a lone bubble. It actually transcends both the old philosophy of design, development of a shopping center, and the new philosophy of developing a shopping center and managing it. So experience is the overlapping facet that covers both the worlds and gets defined in a different way, but one can't escape the traditional way or the current way experience is being defined, because that is what is attracting the customer to your shopping destination in the first place. So let me share with you some examples and some pictures of shopping centers. Now this is Galeries Lafayette. This is a Cossey Mall. This will look like an art gallery. This is not a shopping. A person who is not exposed or not seen the store would first think that it is a shopping gallery or a museum or something like that. But this is a huge department store in Paris. But look at the way it has been done. So they provide you a unique experience. Many malls will try to emulate or copy this experience. So, but e-commerce cannot do this for you. Okay, any other channel cannot do this for you except for this one. And this is how they put effort into creating a very strong destination. They attract you from outside, they give you that fantastic experience inside, and they don't sit on their laurels. They don't say that we are great, we are fantastic, we've ruled for 100 years, we'll rule for another 100 years. They are redefining themselves. And so is Selfridges. So Selfridges, this is Selfridges in London, it's the heart of London, Oxford Street. It's got a 106-year-old heritage. And you won't believe it. They are investing £300 million. That's 2,500 crores in refurbishing this center. And this is again a quasi-mall. So, they are laying that emphasis to create the differentiation, to provide that customer experience. And that is where we need to bridge that gap in India. I think we are way behind in being able to meet these standards. And look at how the new retail stores are coming up in the world. Are we providing the right platform to the retail stores to actually create these flagship stores? This is the latest Zara store on Oxford Street. So this is again refurbished. This is a brand new store. You look at the front, you look at the facade, it looks absolutely fabulous. There are a lot of pictures of the store inside. It's an absolutely new generation, as they call it, new generation industrial metal and glass look. What we have, fantastic stores from international brands, But are we providing the platform to these international brands to showcase their might in providing the experience to the consumer? I mean, mostly the answer will be no. We are actually trying to play the cookie cutter game. We are not trying to play the differentiation game. We are trying to do the same thing again and again. And if you do the same thing again and again, you're going to get the same results. So again, this is the example of H&M in New York City. This is the heart of premium shopping area. But just look at what they have done to the entire area. I mean, it's a place where you can get jeans for $30, and it's competing with a store that sells jeans for $300. So it's on the same street where consumers can very well afford jeans for $300, $500, but they don't mind shopping in H&M because that's the kind of aspiration they've created over there. So that's the kind of experience and the aspiration, even at that positioning, they are able to provide. When we look at how our malls have actually progressed, our malls have progressed from being apparel-centric. I think 15, 17, 18 years back, we were dominated by apparel stores. We had 80% of sales and probably more of space coming from apparel. Today, it's dropped down for most centers to around 65, 75% at the most. In Orion Mall, it is about 60-65%. We've been consciously bringing down the contribution of apparel, but at the same time trying to build some differentiation from apparel. So what is it that is going to lead us to filling that gap or creating that level of energy, newness, freshness, which will attract the consumer to your shopping center, build stickiness? At the same time, it is not something that can be done by your competitor, that's the e-commerce company. You cannot have a bowling experience, a real bowling experience on your mobile. So that's what you will do when you come to a shopping center. That will attract you. That's what will attract you to a shopping center, a water world, aquarium, many such things that you can create. I mean, that is being created. Everybody's thinking of doing these things, but most people are not taking the plunge. But entertainment is going to play a much, much bigger role than it has played so far. We are short of ideas. I think it is worthwhile that mall developers also consider developing their own ideas and taking things forward and creating strong entertainment destinations. So it's not just a shopping center, it's an entertainment destination. So, getting redefined as the terminology. It's not just a shopping space, it is a shop-entertainment space. So that's how we are all looking at it. Shopping, entertainment, and food. So food has also become a very important part. You see, where are we seeing the maximum amount of brands getting launched, maximum number of concepts being launched? It's in the food sector. Where are you finding the biggest success today that people talk about? People talk about success of a high street where food is dominating, or of a high street that consists of only food. So you have cow gullies and various other streets and markets that have actually come up because of these various food opportunities that have got created. And entrepreneurs in India find it easier to enter this business because it's a relatively lower capital intensive business, and it also allows for and absorbs the level of creativity that each and every individual can provide on his or own level. In Orion Mall, I must say that we found great success in the F&B business. Last year we did a business of 130 crores. So 130 crores is a very, very healthy number, and if we are given a chance with more space, we'll probably do 250 to 300 crores in a year. So that's the kind of growth and the size of market that we are seeing developing in the food sector. Fantastic contribution, fantastic support to the core shopping center business, and space for much more to do. Much more than where we are today. We can do 5x from where we are very easily in the next 4-5 years. When I talked about the food business, the entertainment business, and the shopping business, that is the business part of the mall. What we actually categorize as sales. But how does that sale actually get generated? So we saw development, design, infrastructure, convenience, creating that ambience, creating the experience from the interiors, from the decor, for the shopper to shop in, getting the right category mix, food, beverages, entertainment, apparel, fashion, etc. But how do you actually put all of that together, make it relevant and get the mall energized? How do you get people engaged in the system? How do you get people involved? So it's very important that we get people engaged. What used to happen 20 years back still continues to happen, which is people still go for movies. The only thing is the content changes. There is a drastic shift in the content, but people still continue watching movies. Beauty and the Beast is a story written many, many years back. I think many of us have read it in school, learned it from our parents also, and we're still seeing the same movie again and making it a hit. So, the stories are going to continue, events are going to continue, and I'm going to give you a glimpse of what we've done in Orion Mall last year. This is the only clip I'm going to play about the mall because I'll share with you what our current mall has done in India. But from here, we have to go many a mile ahead. So we do a lot of events. We do events that engage kids. So this is the Orion Fun League.
I think it's
And
an
we bring in
interesting
families
concept out of mall
during this
only for
during the
kids,
summer festival.
for children to enjoy.
This
in
is the way we
nature.
bring people together.
It's very nice. It's very rocking for the kids.
Something like this used to happen 10 years back. I don't see how children are going to stop playing. So how will we evolve 10 years later is something that we have to see. How do we build communities? So this is Orion Festival of Giving. 700 million people live below the poverty line in our country. How do you contribute to their well-being? How do you uplift them? So these are, orphans whom we actually helped out in Orion Mall. We brought in people to donate all their leftover goods and created a shopping festival in that. And we delivered a great experience. We spent about 2 crores doing this event. Part of that went to charity and ensured that the community comes together. The celebrities come together to promote the event, and we actually make it a very strong annual event. And throughout the year, we bring children from these kind of communities to our mall. We do, and Bangalore is known as the Garden City of India. So how do you connect the Garden City of India with the shopping mall customer? So we do the Orion Flower Show, and we've been doing that since year 1. So it resonates extremely well with the customer. So you have the customer actually experiencing part of Bangalore inside a mall, which you actually see outside the mall. So you see we've got about 200,000 flowers on show here in the mall, which is actually one of its kind in Orion Mall. I don't know how many malls in the world do this, but we are one of the few doing this. So engaging customers has been a very important part of our philosophy of bringing people together, providing the experience. Continue to do that. And of course, then do something which is very relevant to the retail fraternity, which is Orion Fashion Week. So we do that to be able to promote the brands within the mall. So we tie up and collaborate with the brands, bring them together, showcase the collections of the season, and make sure that those collections are promoted for at least a period of 6 weeks, relevant for that season. And then we do the shopping center, etc. And we go on to doing the Christmas festival. So, the whole year there is something or the other happening. We have a 52-week calendar. We are engaged with the consumer throughout the year. If you do not do that, if you feel that you have just made a great mall with great parking, you have great stores, and you say, I'm going to sit back and, customer will come here, he has nowhere else to go. That's a wrong way to look at it. And we don't sit on that at all. Although we have a great campus, great development, we have fantastic brands. But every year you got to keep reinventing yourself. You got to keep looking at things differently, and we keep doing that all the time. So we're a very marketing-centric mall. So the Westfield presentation that I shared with you, Westfield is also a very marketing-centric mall company. They're continuously doing the thing, connecting with the consumers.
The Christmas guy,
So these are some of the testimonials. The consumers must talk about you. You can't talk about yourself so much more than actually consumers do. So this is a wine festival. Again, bringing people together. Wine is, the new taste that people are trying to acquire. But bring people together. It's not about selling wine. We don't sell wine. We actually promote the wine culture. So, that's about the experience emanating from the development itself, the design, and then going on to the interiors and moving on to the marketing of events. So these are the things that bring people together as an experience, as a shopping center destination. But things are changing. As you saw, we are addressing the millennials. So technology is an important part of the entire experience puzzle now. And this is something that people are trying to solve. This is something that most of the shopping centers in the world are cracking their heads. to deliver. So there are 4 facets, actually big facets. Many things follow from this. So basically data analytics, mobile apps, sociable mall, assortment and delivery. These are the 4 main things that actually work. And I'm again going to show you a presentation, which is an AV, which is going to actually show to you what people are doing. So that was that. I mean, that was driven by e-commerce. E-commerce companies are going physical now. You saw how Westfield is going about doing these things. Many of our shopping centers here are also doing what we saw Westfield doing, using technology to actually reach out to customers and connect with customers, provide that experience. So malls are now going digital. We've seen e-commerce going physical with Amazon opening stores, ASOS opening stores. We've had Zivame opening stores, and now we have shopping centers actually going digital. So I think that is a new trend emerging. There is no e-commerce. It's basically only commerce we're looking at. It's a channel for sale. They're going to make things better for themselves, the way shopping centers need to make things better for themselves, create a better environment, connect with today's customer. It's the millennial you're talking to, becoming a millennial. That's your challenge. How do we make that progression from where we are today, from actually addressing or talking to the normal today's customer to the millennial customer? But we also got to be careful that all customers are not in the millennial category. So the traditional experience cannot be compromised and must never be compromised, because that's the most strongest differentiating quotient that a shopping center has. And you know, a much larger development, thinking beyond a shopping center, that's actually what works. Putting all of this together, this is basically what my sense is, what we start with: convenience, infrastructure, development, experience, leading to the new age in blue, which is your technology. That is the convergence of all this put together, making it work for you in your own catchment, in your own area, which is what I feel is going to be the future of shopping center development, I think. But the core facet, like I said, must never be compromised. It has only got to be enhanced. The design development ethos needs to be very seriously uplifted. Infrastructure needs to be really supportive of all your future plans, not just your present plans. And technology needs to be used in a way that you can bring in efficiency, the way you can connect with your consumer and actually ensure that convenience is redefined and you bring a much larger competitive threat to the rest of the channels that are existing and trying to grow their businesses here and anywhere else in the world. So that's from me now. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
The food courts and malls, I believe the experience, the ambience can be improved. What do you have to say? I mean, you say that they are the biggest revenue generators. So don't you think that the food courts, there is a lot of noise and buzz, but the ambience part, I think, can be improved?
Certainly, I think there's a long way to go in improving the food court experience across the board. I don't think there are too many exceptions to that statement. But having said that, mall developers are always wary of the food court business because it's the least revenue generating or least ROI generating part of the business. Because a lot of the area is common area, bulk of the area, about 90% of the area is common area. So they're always very worried about the loss of income there. But I think people need to go beyond that. Like I mentioned, food is beginning to be and is going to be a very strong contributor to business and to footfalls. So we need to think differently about that business.
Yeah, and it is also a meeting place for the youngsters.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, collaborative spaces can be created. You can look at actually creating collaborative workspaces within food courts.
Yeah,
so we are doing that.
And maybe they may not be eating much, but
yes,
having a coffee over and then,
Yes, absolutely.
And more reasonably priced maybe.
I think food courts are pretty well priced, but I think the value proposition can improve.
Yeah, okay. It's wonderful that you're looking at mixed development inside the mall. That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please? Yeah. Here, this side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I've been hearing every time I come, and I also believe that we must change and we must put a lot of entertainment in our malls. And we should also become the new community centers and not the shopping centers, which I agree, but there is one very important aspect which we have to think is the ROI of the mall. The moment I put entertainment in my mall, the revenue drops. They take chunk of the place and they give me very little revenue. They come on revenue share, and I'm experiencing, and I'm trying to find a balance wherein I can create those international centers in India and boast that my revenue has increased, but the balance is not found as yet.
So I think what you're trying to do is to live with that part of the business, but try to live without that part of the business. Because I think living with that business is going to be much easier than trying to live without that business. So today you're experiencing the benefit of having that business with you, but tomorrow if you don't have that business with you, you may not be achieving the ROI that you're receiving today from the rest of the business that you're operating in.
Sustainability.
And growing, yeah.
Sorry. Sustainability is very important for me to also live in the business, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that let's say that you have two parts of the business. One is the entertainment part, which is not giving you that much of return, and you have the other part, which is giving you better return. But it's giving you the better return because entertainment is there. It's creating the footfalls, it's creating the buzz, and it's creating the level of energy that you want it to create, right? So it's not measurable to that extent. If you don't have that business with you, you may think on paper that you'll get a better return on investment, but you will actually end up getting a lower return on investment on the business that is actually giving you a higher return today. So that's the point I'm trying to make. So there are centers that are actually driving the footfalls and creating buzz and energy through entertainment so that the more profitable businesses get more profitable and stay there. That's the idea of getting these kind of businesses. And they are not always low on ROI. That is also something that needs to be seen on individual basis, but they are not always low on ROI.
So I've been heading amusement parks, and I've been also involved in a lot of amusement industry. So in India, I feel, this is my personal feeling and learning also, that we need fresh population. We need floating population. We need fresh people I'm not denying that we should not have. I'm all the time promoting that we should have certainly very good number of players in the market, but we have to seriously think how much can the catchment sustain that much entertainment. Repetition of entertainment is never encouraged. Even a joke cannot be used twice. So the floating population, wherein we have to promote our cities abroad, we have to encourage people to come to the big cities to have all those things.
So I think there are two things that you need to evaluate and keep reviewing all the time is what you define as entertainment and what is the sustainability of the entertainment option that you're presenting. And the second thing is actually evaluating and assessing your catchment. So, and bringing the two together. So if you're able to do that, I think maybe you'll do better.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Vishal Meetchandani. That was a very engrossing presentation.